Hey,
everybody. We are live. Hey, this is Jen Lowry and
Tish Bouvier.
And we are here to just have a follow-up from the conference and say, what now? Now what? What do we do after we've had such a wonderful, amazing, spirit-filled event full of knowledge? How can we apply it? What are our next steps? So Patricia, we're so happy you're with us. We see that you're in the chat. Please just feel free to start firing away with us and asking questions and talking with us. So this is really an informal WWJ meeting. And Tish and I are waiting for our friends Pooja and Michelle to pop in. So Pooja is texting me now. So Pooja's going to be here any minute. We'll get to welcome her to the stage, whatever. So Tish, let's talk advice. What do you do after a conference?
Well, for me, what I did is I went back and I reviewed everything and I took some notes, just to get some of the things that I did miss. And I reflect. First thing is reflection. You got to reflect back on everything that you heard. Try to regroup and prioritize the message that you learned. And what I did is I listened to things for where I am in my writing journey to help me first. So that's the first thing, is just to sit down and reflect. Even if you have to go back and look at the videos again, have your notebook and go all over your notes and find out where you are in your journey and try to apply all that golden nuggets to your writing life.
Yes, and reflection is key for growth, because you have to be able to understand where you are in your process and embrace it and understand that we're all on our separate journeys, but we're all reaching towards that same goal, which is to glorify Christ, to help support our brothers and sisters in their writing journeys, and just to have some joy, just to have some fun in our writing life. So if we're talking reflection, Tish, I pulled up the reflection questions that I shared with the WWJs, because I think that maybe people could screenshot those and have them. I'm not saying that these are the end all of reflection questions, but if you want to kind of have a starting place, well, what could some of those questions look like? Y'all can joke my tabs. Y'all are about to see all my tabs in my life. But I wanted to share some reflection questions from just the coaching world and what I developed to assist the WWJs when they're going through and thinking back and journaling. And so this can apply to so many things, not just a conference, just any activities that you do in your author world that can help propel you forward, that can help push you through. So if you look at some of these questions, you can screenshot the screen, you can pause the video later, come back, and then you could take notes. Oh, I heard somebody. Pooja's here.
Hey, Pooja.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, Pooja, we are sharing reflection questions. Tish said one of the first steps to do that she did was rewatch and reflect. Tish, did you do any of these questions kind of resonate with you? Like, did any of them kind of stand out?
Yeah, I can't see the screenshot. But,
no way.
Well, I'm blind.
Yeah. No.
Oh, no, It's there. It's just that I can't see it. I probably have to. Hold on.
Yep, I see it.
It's there. Hold on. Let me open my window. Okay, yeah. What are some of your joys you discover, and what are you grateful for? And what are some of the things that cause you to act, and how did those actions affect your writing as you reflect on your decisions? Which one seemed most, especially that one, I had to decide because, I was having some issues whether I should brand myself as this and that. And then in the end, I had to reflect on it and realize where I was and what is my purpose which helped me to finalize some decisions in my branding. So yeah, I use some of that.
Mm-hmm.
And
I
also, like,
went
how did the experience compare to how you thought it might go? And that's just not evaluating the conference as a whole, but your place within that conference. You know, were you interactive? Were you able to connect with other authors? Because that's a key for conferences, is
Oh
to
my gosh, yes.
like to meet
yes.
people, not just to gain a wealth of knowledge and to be able to apply it, but are you still reaching out and trying to build your author community? And then could you turn this into almost like a research process for yourself, so that way you could start collecting your data to see your baseline. Where are you now? Where do you want to see yourself? And then what are some of those steps to get there? So some of these reflection questions might help people. So I'm going to get off my screen and it's back to us.
Yeah.
Think about showing that, Tish, but as soon as you like reflection, I was like, maybe people could benefit from those questions.
They can. They really
Yeah.
can. And that's the biggest thing, is having those questions and think about where you are and then verbalize it or write it down, which will affirm it more for you, even if it's on a daily basis. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
What about you, Pooja?
what's up with you? What's your next steps after a writing conference?
Oh my gosh, I was very inspired. And let me tell you, I actually went back and watched some of the videos again. And I took lots and lots of notes and I generated like a ton of action. And the first thing I did actually is I went back to change my website, change some of the language in there, just being able to crystallize more. I think the part where Mark talked about Max Lucado has always been one of my favorite authors. And remember how Mark talked about he only writes to 3 people.
Right.
I have never, I'm just thinking, sometimes I think, okay, who's that one person? But this opened up my options a little bit more. I'm like, okay, I can write the two or three. And so just being able to crystallize who those were and then changing my website, some of the language to reflect that. Because right now, everything is so general for me. It's like taking a shot in the dark, throwing the kitchen sink at, you know, and that doesn't work. So that was very, very inspiring for me. And gosh, what else? And I have, so that's one thing. And then going on LinkedIn and connecting with some of the speakers just to kind
Oh,
of build
yeah.
that attraction. And they were so sweet. They responded. And so now I feel like, okay, I can, keep learning from them because I'm sure they're going to be putting valuable content and sharing more. So I've done those 2 things.
So action steps going, okay, I heard this advice. Now what can I do in the next week that I can go and tackle right away? So Pooja, you already had that website, so you knew you might need to go in and check. And Tish, you reflected on your branding and you got like that solid affirmation
I
that
sure
this
did.
is your way forward. And so writing those down is one thing, but then having those action steps and following through,
Yes.
that is where it takes that push through mentality. Like we've just got to push through and start tackling. Like for me, it was the audit. Thinking about an audit, that hit me. Victoria Oostein's presentation. And I was like, you know what? I need to do a fall audit. I need to make sure that the content that I'm providing is relevant and it is of value. And that really hit home. And that's the thing about writing conferences. Each one of those sessions hit me in a great new way.
Yeah.
It inspired me
Yes.
and pushed me in a new way. So each person was not only fantastic, but I found value in every single person because they just poured into my spirit. And I was like, oh my gosh. And so the good question of now what is, how can we take a lot of their great practical advice and turn it into our needs? And so for me, it was, I really do need to do a check on my social media
Mm-hmm.
and be more active. I need to be a little bit more active.
Yeah.
And Tish, we were talking about time management today. Like,
Oh, yes.
to be active, you have to do, Sherry said she loved that same idea about the 3 different people. She loved that. Pooja,
I'm still trying to figure out my 3 people. I got 1, but I hadn't figured out the 3, so I'm going to work on that one.
And so that's the thing, Sherry, like taking those advice pieces from the experts and are just writers just like us who are making their way and say, 1, what's my why? I think we should always start with our why. And if we know we're doing this work for the Lord, I think we do share a common why. But then what are some just next steps today? And mine, we are all going to go different with our next steps.
That's true.
Mine was social media. That's what I pulled out of that one, like right away. What do I need to really look at? How can I think creatively and think outside of the box and still try to engage with my people? And who are my people? Who are my 3 people? So we could start by doing that right now, guys. Let's brainstorm. Y'all want to do it? Like, who are our 3 people? And everybody in the chat can talk about their 3 people, because I think that is a powerful. We've got Michelle.
Hey, Michelle.
Everybody, I'm so sorry I am late.
It's okay.
You are absolutely beautiful and lovely. And I guess, look, we're like the bumblebees because we have different hello.
Yeah.
Look at us. Love you, Michelle.
Love you guys too. Hi, everybody.
We've got the chat going. And I'm gonna put Sherry's up again because I think we could focus in on the idea about writing to 3 different people.
Okay.
And we all went through and talked about what we did as soon as the conference was over, kind of like what was our next steps. And all 3 of us had a different angle to it, which was really cool.
Awesome.
So I don't know if you want to talk about that before we get into one of these brainstorming. What happened for you?
Sure. So I'm a person who likes to think things through as the next best step, because I think when we think about what our next steps are, sometimes it can feel overwhelming. You're like, well, there are so many options and all of them seem like they're okay, and then you kind of get paralyzed and don't do anything. So I like to just really just break it down to what's my next best step. And my first next best step was to go back to one of the 3 marketing videos. I knew that those were specifically for me. So I chose to go back to, oh my goodness, I'm blanking on her name.
Victoria, Jerry, and Mark. I
chose to go back to Jerry's video because I was tweeting all throughout the conference and I knew I missed so much because I was like, oh, you guys need to hear all this great stuff. So I took time to go through her video, and then my next best step after that was to look into her suggestion about a Wikipedia page. So I started Googling, like, okay, what does it take to have an author Wikipedia page? So I created one. So everything that I'm doing is really about just chunks. Next best step.
See, we all came at it from a different angle, and we all did the same thing, though, guys. We reflected, we revisited, and then we took one action move. And so with Patricia's like, yeah, I'm in the overwhelm right now. So that, trust me, it can feel like that, especially when we were in the middle of the conference. Tell her, Michelle, we were messaging.
Oh my God!
We were messaging each other back and forth, going, "What are we going to do with this? Let's try to do some follow-ups. Oh my gosh, this is so good. This is so good."
Absolutely.
And that's the value and the benefit of having these conferences. But now we've got it banked. We've got it on our YouTube channel. We can go back, and then we can say which one resonated with me. Where am I at in my journey, and where do I need to move? And so, like,
Absolutely.
for me, mine was Victoria's.
Okay.
Victoria Houston resonated with me because I knew I needed to do that audit. I needed to do that social media audit, consider the value. Tish, you can tell your standout. What was your standout?
Diana Needham. Yeah, she gave me the inspiration to keep my brand as it is because I had a message, I had a story, and I needed to stay passionate about it. Because I wanted to remove haiku poet from it and just focus on cozy mystery. But after talking with her, I know
That's who you are supposed to be.
and I got discouraged because I felt like, wow, how am I get people really interested in, this particular form of poetry when all you hear from other folks, oh, I never read it, I don't like it. But that's my purpose, is to get you to, embrace it, to at least open the cover and read one. So she helped me stay motivated and keep my brand as it is and focus on it.
Yep.
Oh, I
and
love
then
that.
Pooja,
Awesome.
tell Michelle where you were so we can review. Tell Michelle where you were with your 3 people and your website. Oh no, did Pooja freeze?
I think we froze. She's coming back.
Oh,
there she is.
Let's see.
Oh, she lost internet. Are you back now? Can you hear us?
Yep, I'm back. Sorry.
Awesome.
You had a beautiful
error saying that I lost my internet connection. I don't even want to know what I look like.
You were beautiful.
You actually look very like serene.
You look like a porcelain doll pose. Like
I know. Great.
I missed something, I'm sure. You guys were talking, and then all of a sudden my internet just went boop.
Oh, we were just asking just for you to briefly recap your next step.
Yeah, so my next steps, what I was sharing earlier, Michelle, is that every one of those speakers were so inspiring. I had so many notes to go through, but then when I went back and started watching, so already like Mark, when he was talking that hit me, the 3 people, and also the social media ones, it's been very hard for me being an introvert. I know Jen knows this, just to start putting myself out there. And social media is very, very hard for me. So I've been, Victoria's presentation about being authentic and so that actually put me at ease, that I don't have to create content based on some algorithms or some, some standard, that if I could just be myself and whatever I think, just put it out there, and then I'll probably get the right people that way too.
Yeah. Oh, that's, yep.
So
excellent insight.
And her next step was to go right into her website. She said she went straight to her website and started.
Because I realized that my website was about me, and that's not how it should be, right? And I think, Michelle, you mentioned it on one of our calls earlier, that it has to be about the people that we're writing to, but that wasn't very clear to me. So once I've been able to crystallize that a little bit, I'm able to change the words in my website. So started yesterday, so it's still gonna take work.
Nice. Awesome.
And Sherry just mentioned that when she was in her overwhelmed stage after the conference, she knew to reach out. And that's the thing. Building a community is so important in this author world, because we can get so isolated.
That's true.
Yes, you can. Absolutely.
And I'm going to be honest with you guys. My husband is very patient, and I know he kind of half listens to me while he watches videos on the internet on YouTube right now downstairs. Like, he's seriously watching people make driveways with a bulldozer. We don't own a bulldozer, and we live in a town. But I know he kind of halfway listens. But when we have our sisters in Christ around us, we're sharing the same language about writing. We share the same why. We don't have to go with the why. We know what we're doing this for. But we could just get to the writing and talk. And it's so good to have a writing community. So if you haven't found a writing community, that's something too as your next steps, is to start going out there. I mean, WWJs are here, but there's also just, there's us and there's other writing communities out there that are vibrant and work together to glorify God and help support one another. I just happen to think we're like awesome.
We are.
So we kind of recapped everybody. And let's talk about writing to some different people. I think that should be a next step for us, like identifying not our target audience. I don't think I'm ever going to say that again.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because Mark took that vocabulary and switched it around for me. And it's your people. It's who are your people.
Yeah.
So let's talk about our 3 people. So y'all can put it in the chat who your 3 people are. So let's think about our 3 people.
I know one for me is this girl named Ava Maria who shows up on my YouTube stream. And I was talking about my main character and some of her problems and issues that she's going through, and how her aunt gave her some advice. And then I gave my real life advice, and she was listening, and she said, oh, I love that. She's not a writer or anything. She's a gamer, but it made her feel like, well, she can relate to my character. And I was like, wow, and she wanted to be a beta reader. So I figured, well, that's one person I'm going to be writing to. She's a young adult. She's in her mid-20s. And that's when they're going through that transition in life, realizing that the things they thought they knew about life isn't real in reality. And then they sort of growing into who they are. And that's one person for sure. And she sticks with me. When he said that in the conference, she just pulled out of me. I kept thinking about her. Oh, she's one audience I'm writing for. I hadn't figured out the other 2, except for my target audience, but she's one. So I'm going to have to figure out the other 2 for sure.
All right.
I love that you already have somebody in mind. Like, you don't even have to create her. That's awesome.
Right.
Because we could pick real people. We could pick like how Max picked. Was it the truck driver?
Yeah.
The
single
elderly?
mom.
And I'm like, wow. And I'm like, wow, that is just beautiful. Like they can be fictional characters ourselves.
Oh, okay.
So Pooja, who do you think? Have you thought about yours?
Yes, but I haven't so I've thought about general, so I'll share that, but I haven't really fine-tuned it a whole lot. So one of my categories where I write is the health and wellness, and it's nonfiction. And really who I have in mind is someone that is just starting. Like they may have received a diagnosis and they just want to change their lifestyle. So where do they look? Where do they even begin? So most of that stuff that I'm trying to write is for beginners, like just really simple. But then I don't know, I'm also wanting to write to people that don't like to read. So I'm not sure if I'm shooting myself in the foot. Like, you want readers, but I'm trying to reach people that may not even like to read. So I want my stuff to be really light and quick because I want
that's good. Yeah.
And then the third is also general. So I don't have how people say, like an avatar. I don't have that, but my faith-based books, because of my experience, I definitely want to reach those people that have been hurt or wounded by their church experiences or any other, like if they've been in a religious setting that has been very hurtful to them, but they've experienced some kind of abuse in that environment, then I want to write for them.
That's really good.
I love all of those. Oh my God.
Pooja, you've got your 3.
You sure do.
As soon as you started talking, I could imagine your 3, how you describe them.
Girl, I need your imagination because I know the general, but I don't know. You know what? Like, how people say you should be able to tell where they shop, what they look like. I don't have that picture, but my heart just knows that these are 3 areas that I want to I don't have the
Oh,
particular.
that's good.
But you've already focused on the type of people. Like if you don't have the demographics necessarily, but you've already understood like what personality types that they are.
I
Yes.
like that. And when you was talking, I was remembering
Wow.
this one author was saying, since it's a cozy mystery, I want people to escape, that temporary escape. And being a retired hospice nurse, we sometimes need that escape. And I noticed some of the family members, they needed an escape. And if I can touch a reader that's going through a loss or going through a situation where they sit in their parents' room or whoever room they in, and they there all day long, that book can give them that transition, that temporary escape. It's quick. It ain't gonna really bottle their mind up too far. And I want to touch somebody like that just need that temporary escape. And I thought about that when you was talking, Pooja. So I got my second person.
Oh, yeah.
Bedside reader, Tish. Your bedside reader.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we've got Sherry. Sherry has in the chat, a broken woman.
Wow. Yeah.
Woman at the well.
That's beautiful, Sherry. Wow.
That's actually,
And then too, like for me, because I love writing for youth, I want to write for reluctant readers. I can just see the reader. Y'all, I've worked, this is my 21st year now. I've stepped into 21 years, and I've always worked with students who buck the bookcase. They don't want to approach the bookcase. Reading is not in their cool set. That's not
you as a teacher.
And I've always worked with students who were in special programs and students who are reluctant readers, and I want to reach those. That's the first that I look at is, so that's why when I'm writing, and maybe the vocabulary might be more approachable. The vocabulary might be a little bit more slang, like how I talk in the South. Like all of these things, like Pooja was talking about her vocabulary on her website. If she knows that she's writing for the beginner, someone just into a health journey, you're not going to, even though Pooja is a scientist and a specialist, she's not going to speak in that language. She's going to speak in the everyday. And when you know that that's your person you're writing for, sometimes when you go back and you edit, you might say, whoa, that one was a little bit too technical. My, education here and all my jargon, I gotta break it down a little bit more. So Pooja, that can always help you when you're writing your nonfiction.
Yeah.
But so to me, one of mine is it's got to be the reluctant. It's got to be that reader who's like, I'm not really, this ain't for me. I want to convince them that it is.
Wow, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I love the way that you thread it. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Pooja.
No, go ahead, Michelle. I was just saying yes to Jen.
I love the way that Jen thread it back to the writing, because it is a way to think about the edit process, right? Is the person that I'm writing for, will this resonate with them? Will it present itself in the way that I think that person needs that information? So will it speak to you in the way that, like, when I intended to write this, I wanted it to speak to you? Am I writing in that way? I love that. That's great.
Because let me ask you guys this, because it might just be me. So I love we're having this conversation, because I'd love to hear your process. But when I'm writing my first draft, I'm in her mind. I'm in the character. I'm allowing the character to speak. It is the character's story. It is their interaction with the page. I am completely removed from the page. I have nothing to do with it. However they walk in is the way that I just sit at my table and have fun. Let's have a nice dinner, and they're sharing their story, and I'm just typing it. I'm not thinking of my reluctant reader at that point. I'm not thinking of that. I'm thinking of, I got to tell this story that is like burning to get out. So then when we then go into second rounds and third rounds in our edits, that's when we can think about these three people.
Well,
That's true.
I don't know. Do you guys think of your, I hate to say target population, but that was the history of me. I didn't do that prior to who's my target population. I just welcomed my story in.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think I have a combination of the two. So somewhere in the back of my head, I know who I'm writing for. But then you're right, just thinking about, will it resonate in the way that I've written it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's a good
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
Who's your people? Have you thought, Michelle?
Yeah. So I'm like you, Jen, cross genre, and I guess like all of us here, we write for different audiences. So when I think about, so I have two specific ones for my children's book. I want the kid who just sees adventure in life, right? So if it's raining, they're the kid who's out just like this, like
That's a
like
good
letting,
one.
with their mouths open and the rain falling in, and they're jumping around while everybody's running away from the rain. They're there, just like the lone one in the street, just dancing around. So I love writing for the kids who just experience life as an adventure. And then for my romance writing, I think about the same kind of just like quirkiness, and I write for Black women who frolic, where we don't get permission in romance novels to frolic, to just be happy. Like, we love the fall, we love to play in leaves, like we go apple picking. So all of the things that don't necessarily show up in the romance and don't get permission to just be joyful.
Oh, I like that.
Women that I write for romance. So
I love that.
generally, I write for an audience that's just quirky, off the wall, and
Oh, I love that.
I love it though, because that means that you have that freedom of expression.
Mhm.
And when you're writing, you can always capture that unique experience, that unique, just the fun. Sherry's got her second one, a young person who's on the fringe of their belief. They want to believe, but it's
I like that. That's my Marie.
Sherry.
And to tack on to Sherry's, I think my third I think there's 3 for romance and then 3 for kids. My second one for romance, as Sherry was talking about, it was just that person who has been forgiven, who might have lost their way, have been forgiven, but have not gotten to the place where they've forgiven themselves. So
that's a good
I have
one.
forgiven them, but they're just struggling with the condemnation and the guilt. So I love that Sherry had written about this kind of on the fringe, because but until your heart knows, it doesn't make a difference. So Sherry, thank you for the reminder there.
That just gave me goosebumps, Michelle. Like, literally, I got them.
Yeah. And I think as writers, so much of it probably from some level of personal experience, right? That you're gonna write to things that possibly, it might not necessarily come out on the page exactly as you experience it, but there are threads of what you experience in your writing. So, you connect best when you tell whatever is the truth for you, because you're trying to tell the truth to somebody else in the way that they're going through it. So.
And that's that authentic writing voice. That's where you find, when people will say, I struggle to find my voice, but they tap into their authentic selves and tap into those 3. I think that this could help them identify the voice, because this is the voice. We're representing the voice of our people.
Yeah.
Sherry has her third one, an introvert who is hurting but not comfortable sharing, and they present with the strong front.
Oh, that is good.
I'm ready to read that.
Raise your hand if you are an introvert. Anybody in the chat? Anybody?
Just, oh my gosh. Only Chapter.
Please let me read that book. So I want to tell you guys something that I think could be a next steps for you now that you know your person is go to Pixabay or go to Unsplash or a place where you can get free use images. We can drop some of those. I like Pixabay. Does anybody else use one that they love? We can give you guys some options.
I love
Pixabay and
Unsplash.
two that I use, yeah.
So
those three. Yeah, just those three.
And then you
Unsplash,
can't ever go wrong with Pinterest.
Pinterest.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna put those in the chat just for people. So I'm gonna show like Michelle like what I did because I couldn't help myself. Like I actually went and put dancing in rain.
Oh.
I've seen that one. That's awesome.
And
Yep.
I was trying, like, you know how Pooh just said, I wish I had your imagination. I started taking images and I was imagining this kid standing, even in a fire hydrant broken in the middle of a street.
Oh,
and
that's good.
thing.
Yeah.
Something that you do, I think could be really inspiring for you is to go to Pixabay or Pinterest. Because I know, Michelle, you're a Pinterest queen over there. Y'all should go follow Michelle over on Pinterest. And start putting your people to these actual people. And you can print them. You can create a collage. You could write a blog about these people. You could, you could have a reminder in your journal. And you could really just go back to that when you're writing, when you're in your editing process, and you can go back to your person.
Yep.
So I think that could be a next steps. You know, you've said your 3 people. Now go and try to get an image to go along with those 3 people. So that way sometimes that image can help spark you in a new way in your brain than the words. Oh, Patricia's got hers.
Oh, I'd love to hear.
Ooh.
Wow.
A person with childhood trauma has misplaced feelings of guilt and needs forgiveness through Christ.
Oh, wow.
A person who hides in the virtual life and relationship instead of
Oh my goodness.
reality.
Trisha, I'm ready to read.
Oh, and God has put a great calling on your life to reach those that are hurting. And I feel like expression through books, and like Tish talked about, an escape through books, compassion through books, and just knowing that that person is reading and connecting. If it's nonfiction, there can be hope in those pages. But in fiction, there's hope that we find in character. So just go after that calling with a passion put to good use and hold on to what the Lord has called you to do. And just do that thing. And look, Patricia's like, share your Pinterest links. Yes, Michelle, you got to put them all in there. You guys have to go in and follow all of us on Pinterest. We're all out on social media. My stuff is Ben Lowry Wright. So if you type that in, I'm hoping that I have taken over the Google page. That is my intent. That with that branding that Tish was talking about, I chose that in 2018, and I have built everything around that platform. So hopefully you will be able to find all that good stuff. See, Tish actually went and got her stuff. Look at you, Tish.
Yeah.
So thanks for putting it in the chat. I got it.
Okay,
Michelle.
awesome.
I'm
generally at Writer de Rosier, but I started this Pinterest long before Writer de Rosier stuff.
And so that's when
mine is just Pooja Chilukuri. Mine is just Pooja Chilukuri, but I don't know how to put it in there. I can't
put it.
Oh, Tish got you. Tish has got you.
Thanks,
So
Tish.
that's one of the and so yeah, Sherry was like, I love that. I'm very visual, and a visual representation of who I'm writing for is important. And I think that authors maybe need to understand the power of visual, because especially with our readers, and our readers want to connect with us, and they love the visual too. And I ask my ninth graders, I teach English 1 for freshmen, and we talk about what's changed in your books, and they're like, I miss the pictures. I miss the story. I miss you reading a story and then the pictures. So I think that sometimes, we fail to imagine that our readers, even our adult readers, would love to see our process behind the books. So I would encourage all of you to build a Pinterest page with your author brand, but start now. So when you are researching for your book, when you're working on your book, you are pinning on your Pinterest page things that have inspired you and moved you. So like, if you go to my Pinterest page, you'll see a sweet potato Jones board that I put in like 70 pins to it. I know that might not be a lot. I might have 100 on there. I don't know, but it's like I'm throwing out my lucky number. But it's like all of the things that matter for my books, I'm putting them there because I am a visual person and it helps me too. Tish has put it up.
It's not the right. It didn't go through.
I see it.
It just came through. Yeah, it just came through.
Oh, okay.
That's there.
Thank you, Tish. That's right.
Oh, wait, it might be missing the .com maybe.
Okay.
But y'all got how to spell Pooja. Y'all be able to find her. But
I'm following her. Let me see.
Pooja, I just started following you.
Yay!
Thank you. I'm gonna follow you guys as soon as I can get to that.
And if you guys already have Pinterest pages, please put them in the link so we could follow them.
Copy.
Yeah, we can follow. I'd love to follow more Sherry and Patricia. Yeah.
Okay, where's my YouTube?
And so another thing, talking about what's next. We talked about this briefly about the benefit of having a community. So we could talk about how do you actually go out and find writer communities? Like, where do they exist? Where can you find the one that works for you, that can help you grow as a writer? Because the writing community is not just for self-promotion. That's not like, it's not for you to put your links up there and say, buy my book when it comes out.
But you should avoid doing that. Yeah.
But I mean, we still should support one another. We should celebrate.
Yeah.
And we should say, look.
Yeah.
Look. But that's not what the point is. The point is the growth, the learning, the prayer, the team, that you're doing this with a surrounding prayer warrior group around you, and you're learning through the process. Because guys, you're going to be learning forever. Like, this does not stop. Like,
it's actually a great thing, though. It's amazing. Like, we should always be lifelong learners. Yeah.
Right.
And so the what next is to really plug into community. Tell how you guys found your communities, and I can talk about my communities too.
Well, I found mine through Jen and my friend Ann, who is a part of our group. She was following Jen on podcasts, and she kept saying, listen to Jen podcast, listen to Jen podcast. So I listened, and then I went to her site to look up Patreon, and it was that video, her video. Y'all, I recommend go to Jen's site, look at that video. It just drew me in. It's like I could see the light, the spirit. I was in a different, I was coming into my, I guess, you know how you stray away and you come back to your faith, and you want to surround yourself with all the people of the same faith or belief. And this, it was like an angel. I'm not going to kid you. It drew me into that video. And, you know, it was just drew me in. So I joined. And then I told Ian about it. Said, you need to come over here and join Patreon, join the WWJs, you know, because I was willing to even pay for her to be a part of it, because I knew we was going to benefit from it. I just knew it. And it's like that moment, because I was so down on social media. I just didn't want nothing to do with social media. But once I got a part of WWJs and we started to grow, I was able to decipher or discern what groups to belong to, who to really socialize on social media. And it's changed my life drastically. I find writing is such a passion and the purpose, being with like-minded and putting Jesus first. I found my purpose and my passion again in writing, and I just love the groups. I love our group. It's been the best thing that ever happened to me in 50 some odd years. I ain't gonna kid you.
Love. How do you find groups, guys? What's your way of finding groups?
I found you through another group that we were part of, right? And then the person that was organizing the group connected me with Jen. And my first interaction with Jen was in a chat, and I already fell in love with her. So I just knew I was going to just follow her around. So that's it.
Whatever, Pooja.
That's why.
And then how did you get in your initial groups? Like, where did you just jump on Facebook?
That one?
Yeah.
That one, no, it wasn't. Actually, I was out networking for my business. It was like a women's networking groups. And the ladies that were heading the networking group had a self-publishing class that they were teaching. And so they had created a Facebook group to teach us about self-publishing. And one of those organizers, I think she found you, Jen, and she connected us and she said, "You've got to meet this person. You would just really love her." And that's all. So that's really not a writing group. That's more of they taught us how to self-publish. So this is more of where I feel more writing, like actual writing. So
groups have their different purposes. And so that's where you are in your journey. You'll know what groups work best for you just by their titles, their descriptions of their groups. You can join and you can always remove yourself too. It's not like a commitment. You're not getting married to the groups.
Right.
So in groups that I have joined and I've realized I'm in too many groups. I can't really be active here, or this really isn't a place for me. And then I move myself away, and then I get more active in other groups that I just So I think it's much fun sometimes. Like you just get out there and say, "Oh, this is a Christian writers support group. I want to join this group because I feel like I can learn from other Christian writers." And then you're like, "Oh, but they're self-published now. I want that one." And I love that book. That's how I met Pooja. Jumped in there because I got invited for that one. But if you go to Facebook, you can find groups that way. I know there's other places, but I'm just a Facebook user. I'm 45 years old. That's kind of like a target population, 45. People, we're still on Facebook, and there's authors there.
I found mine through a Twitter chat. So, my goodness, Tamara's group, the Right Community. So I have been part of her group for a little bit now, and I used to just do her weekly Twitter chats about writing. So from there, I believe Anne actually is part of that group, and then she pointed me to Jen's WWJ because I wanted to be part of the writing group, but I was at a point where I was looking specifically for writers who are believers. So the other one is not a writing group of believers, but it is a valuable group. So as Jen was saying, you can identify what do you need and when do you need it, but also think about like what value are you going to add to the community that you're going to be part of. Because for a writing group to really work, it's not just I'm going to take like any relationship. It's about a balance of giving and taking. So,
and for me, it's hard for community writing groups because we do have a local chapter, and I could drive and I could go and sit in a meeting with people, and they have them locally here because I'm near a big city. The problem with that, my schedule does not allow and afford that. That means that I would have to give up Thursday evening homeschool with my son. That his education is more. That's a priority for me.
Right.
If I'm giving up that time to go to a writing group at a set time, then that means I've got to now spend a Saturday or a Sunday doing homeschool and making it up. So there are writing groups that can be vibrant in communities. There's local chapters. You can find county chapters, state chapters to get involved in. There are big organizations that you can look for within your genre. So I tell you, start researching those. But I don't physically have that time to say, okay, I'm going to get in the car, I'm going to drive here, and I'm going to meet for an hour and a half and then have to drive back. I'm a virtual person. I like the online communities. And so, like, I'm in a secular online community, and they're huge in competitions. I'm not really a competition writer, but I love the group, and I love the
Yes.
people. And they're a secular group, and I have met, like, one of my closest writing buddies is from Australia, and I met her from that group. Like, you will not believe the value of connecting with people, even if you just walk away with that one strong connection. You got you a friend for life, right? You've got you a partner in crime for life in this writing. But like with me, I was on LinkedIn. So if you're not on LinkedIn, you know, I love LinkedIn. And Diana Nita messaged me out of the blue. I did not know this woman. She messaged me and she was like, look, we have a writing community on Facebook, and it's for self-published authors. We would love to invite you to come over and check it out. And if you feel like you would like to be a member, just join us. If it would not have been for that one spirit-led connection, that's the Holy Spirit connecting, then I would have never met Pooja.
Yes, that's who connected us. Yep.
Like, it's like that. It was through this LinkedIn message out of the blue. And I was like, I've never been in a group before. Like, what is that? Like, honestly, guys, I was like, wait, I'm going to be a part of this. And that's where I learned about Ingram Spark. And that's where I learned about codes and how to publish on Drafted Digital. If it wouldn't have been for that group, I would have never learned the things that I know now. I would have had a lot more trial and error. Let's just put it that way.
Yes.
I'd have made a lot more mistakes if I wouldn't have been a part of a vibrant group. So I say, get out there, get yourself into some good groups.
And Patricia's,
go ahead.
Sorry, Jen. I'm sorry I got distracted because I finally figured out how to see the comments. So Patricia says she followed us, all our links for Pinterest, and I followed you back, Patricia. And I'm following everybody now. I can't find Sherry on there. If Sherry wants to put her link, I'm happy to follow. But I have,
And so Sherry said, like, is it by invitation or do you request? You hit join and you might have questions to answer. And they'll say, why do you want to join this group? And what are you currently writing? Or, you know, something like that. That's how a lot of those Facebook community ones are. And then if they're local chapters in your community, if you want to go the face-to-face route, just email the people that are in charge of it and say, hey, I'm looking for membership. Because like I'm in SCBWI, which is for children book authors. And they have local chapters, regional chapters. I'm in their forum group on there. So I'm in the North Carolina Reading Association. So I'm not just in Facebook groups. I'm in professional communities as well. And I would encourage you to look for those that can just give you greater connections with people.
Absolutely.
Social media, guys, like where to start with social media. Like, what's your next steps from the writing conference? Like we've talked about our 3 people and our why. I think that is the start. And then we talk about other next steps will be your personal journey and where you are, building community, making sure you plug in, and
Mhm.
then social media. Let's talk about social media.
Yeah, I think social media. Oh, go ahead, Pooja.
Go ahead, Michelle. No, go ahead.
I think for social media, in my head, I have to kind of take it two pieces at a time. There is the actual technical SEO piece of it that, like anything that you learn, you just have to think about it as a language. Like you didn't grow up learning it if you didn't. So you're just going to have to learn piece by piece. And you don't necessarily have to learn to be an expert. You have to learn to know enough to apply. So I saw some comments when we were doing the social media piece. People were just like, "Oh, I'm never going to know this," and you know, almost ready to give up. Don't give up. It's like anything that you learn, you start with the first basics and then you apply from there. So for me, I've been learning on my own. Take a look at like YouTube, take a look at Udacity, take a look at Google. Again, you're not trying to be an expert unless you want to. It might become an interest for you and you want to be an expert. You just want to get foundational knowledge that you can apply and take the lessons really piece by piece. So if you learn about, keyword search, like Jerry had shown you. So before you move on to the next lesson, actually apply what you learn. So if it's, I'm learning about keyword search, pause the video, go to a link that she shared with you, start doing the keyword search. Like I'm a learner who has to apply what I learn as I'm learning it in order for it to really sink in. So if you're just going to think, oh, I'm going to look at this video and then kind of put it down and I'm never going to get it, you're not going to get it because you need to apply what you're learning. So from the technical standpoint, when you're thinking about it, please don't already give up, because I was really seeing a lot of that. Don't give up. It's you learn how to write, you learn how to tell stories, you learn how to build characters. It's the same thing, just apply the learning process to it. From the standpoint of being introverts and not really feeling comfortable just kind of putting yourself out there, if you think about it from a point of I'm putting myself out there to sell, then it's going to feel to me, as it always does, it feels icky. But Mark really just kind of changed my perspective when he said that our goal is about reconciling people to Christ. So I'm like, okay, that connection that I'm building is with a person to person. I am that person that Christ is using to talk to whomever it is. I don't know what it is that Christ wants me to tell that person necessarily, but I'm coming into contact with you for a reason. Right. So that social media, that this is just a tool that the Lord uses. We didn't have social media back in biblical days, but he was still using people to talk to other people on his behalf. So social media is just that. It's just that tool. So it really just think about the technical that you're learning. You're not learning to be an expert. You're learning to apply. And then from the human perspective, that God is just using it as a tool to talk to that one person.
Because it's our 2020 mission field.
Right.
It is the way to reach the masses. It is the way to reach, untouched people groups around the world. When you are on social media, you're not just in Raleigh, North Carolina. Like you're not your small little neck of the woods. Like you have the opportunity to share Christ and just be a positive light. Just give positive content. Just something that is needed in our world today. And just really just share the voice that the Lord has given you for your people. And then when I started thinking about social media back in 2018, I'm going to be honest, when I got my publishing contract, and it was like, here's the checkoff list, and you have to do this, and this, and you have to give me the links. We need them. by this certain day. I was like, oh my gosh, I've got to have y'all. I started with just my Facebook page with my aunt on it and my friends and my teacher colleagues. Like, I was not on Twitter. I did not know how to hashtag mess. Like, I did not have an Instagram account. My son told me yesterday, Mama, you've got 8 messages on Instagram. I was like, son, I still don't know how to check them. Push the button. He said, Mama, push the button in the corner. I said, thank you. I saw the message. I was like, sorry, I haven't responded. Tell them you don't have to build Rome in a day. You just have to start building those foundational pieces. And so I was very comfortable on Facebook just because I was with it with my nieces and my aunt and everybody. And so I was like, oh, I'll build the author Facebook page first. And so I got that. Then I was required to do the Twitter, and I had to have LinkedIn, and I had to have Instagram. Y'all, I have Snapchat. I don't even know how to go past the first screen. But you know what? If you look at my list, I got Snapchat right there just to remind myself that you don't have to do it all. Because I don't even touch the button, but I haven't removed it. That's just the bottom line. You got to push through that push through mentality. You can figure it out as you go. And brand yourself. That's the thing. If you want to be Tish Bouvier on YouTube, and you're telling your YouTube subscribers and you're telling your audience people, all your people, follow me over here, make it all match. Just make it easy. That's the thing.
Make it easy.
Make it so easy for people to find you that they will connect with you. It won't be like, well, how do you get Jen again? Well, Jen Lowry writes. She's writing all the time. Hopefully, that's the name of the podcast. That's the name of my YouTube. You can type that in, like I said, and hopefully it's just swarming all over the place. As if you heard it one time, that's your way. You see how even on my screen, I've got Jen Lowry writes. So you guys, like, make it easy for people to be able to reach out for you, because that's what you want. You want to build true connections with people to let them know that they're not alone on their walk. Because a part of me, I've got a teacher spirit, y'all. That's me. I'm a teacher anyway by nature. I've been teaching for a long time, but I also want to teach people in the writing community and say, look, I'm learning. Don't make these mistakes. Go back. That's why I've got a podcast. That's why I've got YouTube. But with social media, you can reach so many more people that way. Just make it easy. That's my advice. Make it easy on yourself. So that's why I have my little carousel on my phone to where it reminds me. And then I learned how to link, y'all. I was so proud of myself. I learned that if I put this mess on Instagram, it goes to my author page, and I don't have to do nothing but hit share. I love those things. I didn't know that I could link Instagram to my author page. I didn't have a clue. But you never know where your next reader lives. You never know where your next reader and your person populates in themselves and where they feel comfortable. So that's why when I say share the love, share it around into these different places, but you don't have to be the expert. Michelle, I love that. Like, you just need to show up. You need to be present and put through, because that's introverted sales. I know people who didn't want to make videos. I'm talking about them. I'm talking about them.
She's calling us out.
Who are you calling?
It's
natural on the camera, right? Are a bright, shining light, filled with the Spirit of the Lord and so much wisdom and care and love for other people. What better way than to let people see you?
Right.
Not just read your words, not just have the book in their hand, but to connect with you. You. And how can you do that? Because you're staring at them through the screen right now. There's something personal about that alone, where we want to see face. We want to feel the person that we're reading their blog, that we're, I love to blog. Like, I love that. But people just read my words. They just see that. Well, then they can see it on YouTube because I just read the poem I wrote. And I read it to them on YouTube. And then they hear my voice on a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much ways, like, people, you can connect with people. So it's the
Yeah.
push through. You got to push through the uncomfortable to grow.
Absolutely.
So any last words of wisdom as we're closing it down? We've done an hour of advice to you guys. I hope this has been helpful to us. I know it's helpful to me
Yes.
because I've got people in my brain now. I'm going to go play with images, and I'm going to find my 3 people. I may blog about this, guys. I would love it if we all blogged about our 3 people and then put it out there.
That'd be good.
Because I think people could do this same exercise, and we can challenge other people to identify their 3 people and never call it target audience again.
Right.
Again.
I like that. Yeah.
Sherry, I saw a comment, just you not being active on social media, but seeing the importance of social media and writing. So a first step is have one platform. Just start with one. And then when you do create that one, again, some sort of visual. Tish has her avatar that looks like her, but a photo, something that gives the audience an opportunity to see who you are. And I am one of those people that Jen was pointing at for the video, but I also started out where I was just like, I don't want my picture on here. I just want my words to connect with you. I don't want to have anything to do with. That's why I write, so you could connect with my characters. But really, if you think about it, they want to connect with you as well. So start with one social media platform. And when you do have it, please come back and just let us know. Jen, I don't know what the right place is to check back with us. If you want to email it to Jen, let us know, and we can be your first followers so we can encourage you on your social media build out.
Yes, please email us. It's Jen Lowry Writes, Patricia. You should be able to hopefully find me on there. I want to brag about Tish. There's the avatar. But then look up here. We've got Tish.
Oh, got it. Awesome.
Tish is like, I'm going to prove that I look like my avatar.
That's really funny.
So y'all go over. So the thing is like following us, connecting with us, like Michelle said. Michelle, you're on all over the place too. You're on
Ryder the Rosier. Just search for that and you'll find me.
Like, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook. You can message us. If you want to become a part of the WWJs, you can hop over on Patreon. We've got all of the links. I've got everybody's YouTube channel linked in the description too. So you can go follow Pooja and Tish and Michelle and follow their YouTubes, because I believe we've got us another YouTuber here now.
Yes. I remember when we first started with Michelle, you would never see her face, or she would sort of hide. Now look at her, just blossom. She's a natural.
See?
Thank you, Patricia.
But I mean, it's always a work in progress. Like, we're always working and growing and changing and developing our skills. And so just, small steps, guys.
Remember, Rome wasn't built in a day. I live by that saying. You just take care of yourself one day at a time.
So anybody, I could share screens, and does anybody want to show an example, or you guys want to share screens? Let's see. Like, talking about content, even for Instagram. That's my publishing company. Hold on. It goes straight there. I told y'all. So like, here's Michelle.
I just started my Instagram. Yep. Or that Instagram I just started. So
Because now you're branding yourself with this writer,
yes.
Rosie, right? And
Yes,
so you want
Yes,
everybody-
exactly. Mm-hmm.
And so that shows you guys that, you know, Michelle has been writing for a while, but sometimes you got to say, hey, wait, I need that brand. I've got this. So you can see, look at that. Look at those pretty
I
faces.
see.
And you can go through and you can check out other authors. I'm going to put this in. There you go, Patricia. See if that works. See if that link works, because she's trying to find you, Michelle.
Oh, okay. Yep. I'm just building up, so that's why it
But
probably
as
doesn't
you
go
guys,
through straight. Yep.
you know, like as you guys grow and connect. See, I've got messages. I didn't know how to check them until I told y'all. Now I'm down to 6 today. But you know, as you go and you build, Pooja, you know this. You have a place where you like to live more than somewhere else.
Mhm.
You know, like where's your place, Pooja?
So for me, it's my Facebook page for my nutrition and health business. And then for my book, this is it. I haven't had one and I'm working on it. And I think it's going to be a private group
Okay.
and like a YouTube channel. So those are going to be my two that I'm targeting for myself.
Awesome.
And
For
so,
my nutrition.
Be Made Whole is
Yeah.
the
It's my
private
group.
group.
Yeah.
And so, do you see how do people join your Be Made Whole group?
So it's either through word of mouth or if they're working with me, I invite them. So it's private, so it's not, I haven't opened it up. It's because if people want to have conversations in there, I want them to feel safe again from being an introvert. I just want everybody. I don't know, maybe I will open it up someday, but right now I just want to keep it like private.
But you do have other public author places too.
Uh-huh. My page, it's named after my book, and then there was Jesus, my memoir. So that's my author page, the name of the book. And
So
I just started a YouTube channel. So and I created a small private group. It's called Beauty for Ashes, and there's only 4 people in there. And it's really, really private because it's for people that are trying to heal and recover from the church hurt. So that one's, oops, I'm so sorry. I don't know why my phone. So yeah, and so that one is definitely by if somebody knows somebody, if I've had another interaction with them somewhere, or if you know somebody that's going through that process, if I would appreciate it if you could tell them about the group. But right now it's intimate. And I'm trying to post resources in there for helping people because I went through a big journey. It's taken me 10 years to really, really get my faith back.
Wow.
So just putting the resources out there for people, just helping them with encouragement. Yeah.
And so, as you guys can see, we all use social media for good, and we are all works in progress. We're all continuing to build, and then we have our own unique ways that we are connecting with our audiences or our people. With our people, y'all got to help me. Like when I say audiences, our people. But it's just taking that leap and not getting overwhelmed and just understanding one day at a time, one task at a time, and just really embrace it as a part of the joy and embrace it as a part of the learning. And go to YouTube when, if you say like, well, where do I find out how to do this? YouTube for everything, y'all. You can really, it can be like how to set up your Instagram, how to set up an author group on Facebook, what content to put on, how to tag. Like, I can't tell you how many how-to tutorials that I've watched as an author, not just to learn how to format my own books and do my own interior formatting or cover design, but I've watched things like, how do you hashtag? Because I told y'all I didn't know how. Like, they got for everything. And just don't give up. Don't give up in the process. Just little chunks at a time, and then really celebrate those accomplishments.
Absolutely.
Celebrate your accomplishments. Don't think that what you're doing, is just one little small thing. It is a great step for Christ in getting the message out. So I say celebrate those things. So I've just dropped yours down in, Michelle. I saw it in the chat.
Okay, no problem. And
Princess.
Jen, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I wanted to say also, think about the ways that you want to communicate with folks. That could help you decide what the right platform is to start with. So Instagram communicates differently than Twitter, right? So those are the two places where I live most, are Twitter and Instagram. I'm just starting to be part of the Instagram writing community because I was doing a writing challenge in August, and that got me to be able to connect with other writers and just to learn who they are. But that's really a lot more visual, even though you could do text. So if you're looking just to, have conversations, Twitter feels like the better place. And then I guess if you're looking to have really in-depth conversations, Facebook would be, in terms of a group, Facebook would be it. But just kind of think about the ways that you want to start communicating, because then that will help you. I know nothing about TikTok. How Jen was talking about Facebook. I'm the Twitter, Instagram generation. I'm not the TikTok. So if you want TikTok, I guess we got to find somebody. I'm in my 30s, so we got to find somebody in their 20s, or I guess TikTok even for teens. So
yeah,
can't help you there.
Nope. But I would also challenge all of you guys to push yourself out of your comfort zone and try short videos, even if they're introductions. How's your day going? Check out my coffee. What's going on? Like conversation starters with short videos. Like I said, people love to see people. And
this is Jen. So my next best step right after this is to do a short video, because Jen has been saying
yes. Go, Michelle. Go. We need more Michelle in our life. Raise your hand if you need more Michelle.
She's so silly. No, but she's been saying that it really is like, I use her as just an inspiration to be able to connect, because it doesn't feel like you're selling anything. And that's my one thing. I don't want to feel like I'm selling something, but when you look at Jen's, it looks like she's just having a conversation with you. So
yeah, and I stumble around, and it's not scripted.
Yeah.
And I might repeat myself a couple of times. And like my poor podcast people, the people that have been listening to me on the podcast for all these years, I'm like, I know I'm just talking on the phone. I'm just having a conversation with my people on the podcast. And I find myself, I ramble, and that's okay. Because maybe if they, like Tish, if they pull one gold nugget out of that ramble, then it's false. So people figure out your style. They figure out who you are and how you communicate. And either they're going to resonate with you, they're gonna fit with you, or they'll say, "Nah, that girl's a little bit too quirky. I'll go to the provider," and that's fine, because then you'll find your person.
Right.
It's nothing to take offense over. There's somebody for everybody. You got your soulmate. You've got your friend mates, you've got your writer people. I mean, there's somebody for everybody. And that's why it's important that we constantly are out there moving and shaking and out there being present. Just be present.
Absolutely.
That's something I can just say. Just be present and have that joy, because the joy comes from the Lord.
Yeah.
And the joy comes from knowing that someone could draw closer to Jesus because of the words that you do say. So,
Yep.
all right, guys, I got to go get my car inspected. I don't know what y'all got doing today, but
Apparently, I have a short video to do before I can do anything else. So.
thank you. Next steps. Anybody else have some next steps today? I'm sending recommendation letters out today. I've got 3 to write. So I'm doing that today. What else you guys got going on?
What's happening with Kitchen Puja?
Oh,
No.
I'm still on my vacation. I'm on a week vacation.
Woo!
But I'm going to be preparing for some videos for next week. I got Jen interview for her book, and then I'm doing a celebration for Agatha Christie's birthday on September the 15th on my new YouTube channel. So I'm looking forward to that. If you need a writing buddy, someone to write with you, someone to help you stay accountable, be sure to check out my YouTube. And Tish
Go follow Tish on YouTube. All right, Pooja, what's your next steps?
Well, so I have to build my author YouTube channel. So I'm going to work on making some videos. And I have my other YouTube, Be Made Whole for Wellness Education. So, people, you guys are all welcome to follow that one if you just want some tips every week, some healthy living tips. But my author YouTube is the one I'm going to focus on.
Awesome.
Look at Jerry in the house today. Join us, become a part of the WWJs. We would love to have you, Sherry.
We would.
Yes.
So, and good news is, Michelle, I talked to Tish this morning because we had boot camp. And, we got one. We had boot camp, and I told them about Lydia contacting me and asking, could we have London's Writers Conference for children? Tish knows 2 children authors.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So Tish said, I know them. They're local. They're Texans. They would, so Tish, we've got it. I'm going to message Lydia today. I'm messaging her today, and I'm going to say, okay, we're going to have a London celebration in May.
Oh my goodness, that's awesome.
That's the next step for me too. I've already told you, I cannot wait to reach out to Mom and say, we got you.
Wow, that's, oh my goodness.
Because if it's just London and Tish is 3 and we have no others, then where 2 or more are gathered in my name. Hey,
that's true.
Where 2 or more are gathered in my name, and we can just call that as a praise. And we can have a praise session. We can have many workshops with 3. So whatever the Lord wants to see done with that, that will be. So I just want to let you guys know.
That's really great.
That was today. So Patricia, contest submissions due this month. So what kind of contest are you doing, Patricia? Because I'm in a group that does tons of contests. I do furious fiction. That's all I can dabble with. I love furious fiction. And I write it from the point of view from my characters. So I'm always trying to write. Or I use short story. So I know Patricia's she does the contest submissions. So Patricia, you can go over to Tish's YouTube, and while she's writing her novel and working her stuff, you could be working on your accountability and going live with Tish. So that would be awesome. All right, guys, we are closing it out. I love y'all.
Love you guys too.
This was awesome.
Awesome.
It was good.
Saturday. All right.
You too. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye guys.